What is up, guys? Welcome back to MMA Dynasty. We've been getting a lot of support lately, and our channel is doing really well. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. And if you guys could like and comment on this video, this would mean a lot. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you're new to the channel, you've obviously, seen some of our other content if you're clicking on the podcast, but I am really happy to announce that we're almost at 1,000. We've been grinding on this channel, and this is going to be the year, guys. Like, we're really going to try to blow up this year. So mark my words, mark Jacob's words. We're going to get on the grind, and we're really going to blow things up, and we're going to take over the YouTube MMA space this year. So let's just get into it. Lots of big news. Islam Makhachev and Volkanovski, that seems to be the most relevant fight right now, even though it's about a month away. But I can't wait. And there's been a lot of people saying that we are disrespecting Volkanovski or writing him off. And Volk's a beast. Volk's a monster. He's literally the most skilled guy. He's pound for pound number one. It doesn't matter. And just because we're picking Islam Makhachev to win doesn't mean we're disrespecting Volk. I love Volk. We want Volkanovski to win, but I think that Volkanovski I just think he's in over his head. I think Islam Makhachev has a 99% chance to win this fight. Jacob, what do you think? And do you think it's disrespectful to pick against Volk?
Look, I've never seen a community that is this emotional. Like, just because you like a fighter doesn't mean you have to be delusional about it. Like, we love Volk. We've been talking good about Volk since we created this channel. Volk is I would say one of the top three guys who we talk the most positive about in the UFC. However, we got to be real on this. It's just not going to be a close fight. Volk doesn't have a real chance. You look at this stylistically, it's a nightmare for Volk. How does he win this fight, guys? These people who, if you think Volk is going to win, how is Volk going to win? Truly, how is he going to win? He's going to stuff a bunch of takedowns and knock Islam out. That's
yeah,
just
they
not
think he's the explosive guy that used to do rugby, that he'll just stand up. He stuffed a couple of takedowns from Mendez. I understand that Volkanovski used to play rugby and all that, but he's still significantly smaller than Islam Makhachev. And, Islam's a bad matchup for him stylistically. He's a bad matchup for Volkanovski based on the fact that he's a control grappler with a submission game. And when he gets guys down, he keeps them there. And also, he doesn't have to blast double leg you or take you down with a single leg. He has so many trips, inside trips, judo. He's a black belt in judo. I mean, the guy is such a good grappler. He is levels above Brian Ortega or Chad Mendez. He is such a more complete grappler, and he's really good at wrestling and judo.
And he's also
Volkanovski has never. And here's the thing: that's just stylistically, he's way bigger. If they were the same weight, the same weight walking around, if both of these guys, if they didn't have a strength or size discrepancy, I would still probably favor Islam Makhachev just slightly. But, the fact that Islam's going to be 15 pounds heavier the night of the fight, it's just, come on, guys. The strength advantage is really useful when you're a strong grappler and you're a guy that's trying to take people down. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And, people are acting like Volkanovski just because he lit up Max Holloway, just because he lit up Brian Ortega on the feet and destroyed the Korean Zombie means he's just going to be able to light up Islam Makhachev. I mean, first of all, they're not going to be the same weight. Volkanovski's not just going to power push him off, with his fucking rugby toughness and just be able to pick him apart on the feet. It's not going to work like that. He's going to get smothered. And the way I see it is his only chance is when he's on the ground. Can he get up? He's going to get taken down. Can he get up? I think that he'll be lucky to get up more than twice. He might get up once. He might stuff a takedown. He's not going to be able to stuff him all night from Islam Makhachev. And he's fucked. And the size is just going to be too much for him, Jacob. I honestly think so. Has Volkanov, what do you think about it? I feel like people are reading in too much about the fact that he destroyed Max and he's the pound for pound number one, super skilled on the feet. How is that going to help him against the grappler like this?
It's not. It's really not at all. I mean, also people are forgetting that Islam is the least hit fighter in UFC history. The guy's defense is ridiculous. And it's not just because of his opponents. He went against Charles Oliveira, who was top 3 pound for pound at the time, barely got hit. Also people are forgetting he is a really good counter puncher too. And he's got a lot of power. People are discrediting Islam's power. He had more, people said Khabib was strong and had power. Islam's got more power than Khabib too.
Way better technical striker
people
than
down
Khabib.
Islam does.
Yeah.
So I'm saying is how do we know that Islam's not going to knock Volk down?
He
When was
could.
the, he could, and like he's also a 55er. Volk's used to 45ers. He got wobbled by guys like Max Holloway in the second fight. Like how do we know he's not going to get wobbled by Islam? Like
That's the thing,
that's a
man.
real
Like
risk too.
another thing I want to bring up and I want to ask you, like, I feel like when these high level strikers, when they're taking on a guy that's just going to be shooting takedowns all night, they worry so much about the takedown that their confidence on the feet just seems diminished. And I have a hard time believing that Volkanovski is going to be, just moving around the cage, flowing, going in and out, firing off combinations, getting it on the inside. Do you even think he's going to have time to like set these things up?
I think he's going to be way less active. That's what you saw with Oliveira.
He
Oliveira
doesn't have the power to be able to afford to be less active.
then he's that exactly like he's not. But like if he's very active, he's putting himself at risk to getting taken down or getting knocked down. And I think
Yeah.
he's going to be very like when these guys fight guys like you saw Charles Oliveira. We were like, why was Charles Oliveira so active? And it took you it took us a few days to really realize like he was worried about the takedowns and he was worried about his power. Islam's got some serious power. Even in the first round, he hit Oliveira hard a couple times. So I think once you feel the power of Islam and his strength and everything, I think you panic, And I think Volk said that he won't panic when Islam takes him down. Then Islam was like, when you feel my strength, you're gonna panic. And I completely agree. I couldn't agree more. Like that, I've never felt it, obviously, because we're not fighters. But you can only imagine what it feels like being held by a guy like Islam or Khabib. It's different.
Like
it's different strength.
Different strength.
It's different. And nobody feels it till they fight them. You can't train with somebody to replicate it. It's just not
Doesn't
possible.
matter how big they are. Like, here's the thing. Volkanovski is training with a lot of big guys. One of them being this guy named Craig Jones, who's an Australian grappler. He's a beast. Like submission wise, he's a monster. He's way bigger than Islam. He's a fucking beast too. And he's probably on gear. Like he's a grappler. Like a lot of these jiu-jitsu guys are allowed to take gear. They're not being drug tested. But pound for pound, Islam is just stronger than this guy. He's been grappling his entire life. He's not a jiu-jitsu guy. He's just been training his whole life to grapple, like basically. And that's part of where his strength comes from. But just in general, pound for pound, he's more compact. He's more similar to the size of Volkanovski. And sure, he's smaller than Craig Jones, but because he's got so much strength for his frame, such a freakish amount of strength, it just must feel different. It's one thing if a guy who's like really big and tall takes you down, you could feel their weight. It's another thing if a guy who's like, kind of big, but not super tall, not that heavy, takes you down and they're just like freakishly strong. That's the kind of strength that Islam Makhachev has. And Khabib always says, like, first round they believe, second round they don't believe anymore. And I feel like when guys get in the cage with a Khamzat Chimaev, with a Khabib, with Islam, these guys from that region, they're just built for grappling. Like they're just genetically built to grapple. And not only that, but they've been doing it their whole life because that's just part of the culture over there, And in America, you have guys like Bo Nickel, Daniel Cormier. They're phenomenal wrestlers. John Jones, but they're not taught from a young age like Sambo. And a big part of Sambo is just fighting on the ground in general. The whole time it's like striking, fighting on the ground. Whereas a lot of these American wrestlers, they're big on taking guys down and they're not as big on the control aspect. Like these guys from Dagestan, these guys from Chechnya, all they know is fucking fighting on the ground. And it's like, they're unstoppable. We saw it with Islam and Charles, and Islam was fine in Charles's guard. And I know Charles is a monster on the ground. He's a beast. Volkanovski's a monster. Like he's a beast, but Islam's just a different style that he's never fought before. If we haven't seen Volkanovski stuff takedowns from a Dagestani wrestler that's been known to hold everyone down and destroy them on the ground, how on earth are we going to pick him? We saw him get taken down by Brian Ortega. Of course, Volkanovski kind of tripped and fell in that situation. Nonetheless, he was taken down and almost finished. We've seen him get taken down by Chad Mendes. Like, I haven't seen enough instances of Volkanovski stuffing takedowns, let alone from a guy that's in a weight class above him who's also a champion at the caliber of Islam Makhachev. And until then, I can't pick him. Whereas I have seen Islam take a lot of guys down, good grapplers, and just keep them there. And Volkanovski, I'm sorry, but you're telling me that he's gonna have an easier time standing up than a guy like Charles, than a guy like, all these other guys like, Thiago Moises, that are decent grapplers, that are pretty big. I know Volk's a beast. He's probably technically a way better striker than Islam, but I feel like that's going to go out the window. And Volk's really confident. One thing I like about Volk is he's a dog. Like, he really is a dog. He's tough as fuck. Like, you could just see it in that Ortega fight. Most people get out of a submission like that, they break free. Their life is coming back to them slowly. They just want to breathe, or they just want to relax. Volkanovski, he's the kind of guy where he's almost finished. He'll get it right back. Like, he's in there. He's like, I'm going to fuck you up since you almost put me out. Volk's a dog, but that's just not going to help him. He won't get to do that. You know what I mean? Like, he's only going to get to do that on the feet. There's not going to be a moment where he like gets on top of Islam and fucking reverses the position and starts beating him up. That shit ain't going to happen.
But also, you got to remember, like, if like you said, Volk is very confident and stuff, and like that, people think like, oh, Volk is very confident. He's not going to not throw enough. He's going to still be aggressive against Islam. If he's aggressive, that's going to even hurt him even more. Then he's going to take him down right away.
Yeah, that's the thing. And like, I have a hard time to believe that he will be. I feel like he's going to have to tailor his style to fight a heavy grappler.
But there's no way to tailor it to a guy like Islam. You just can't. There's no way to stop these guys unless you've got knockout power and you catch them. That's literally the only chance you have against these guys. And I hate to break it to you, Volk doesn't have knockout power. If he's not knocking out the Korean zombie out cold, he's not knocking out Islam Makhachev. That's what I have to say. Or if you're not knocking, I know Max Holloway's got a great chin, but going through all the worst Max Holloway's gone through and not being able to knock him out, why would he be able to knock out?
I feel like Volk, he's fought some guys with granite chins like Ortega Max, but I think you're right. He did knock out Chad Mendes. He has. I feel like he has a little bit underrated power, but nonetheless, like, you could just tell he doesn't have the kind of power that you need to put Islam Makhachev out, a lightweight. If he does beat Islam, though,
that's the greatest upset in UFC history.
It's got to be, some people said that DC was biased for saying that. I think that's ridiculous. I think in general, you look at an upset like Amanda Nunes losing to Juliana Pena, like, that's women's
MMA. That's a fluke, though.
It's less skill than it's a fluke. This right here,
this would have to be complete skill.
This would have to be skill. Like, I don't see unless Islam gets a freak injury, it has to be skill. If Volk beats Islam, that has to be one of the most impressive wins ever, because he'd have to basically stuff takedowns, stick and move, and just like piece him up on the feet, stuffing takedowns, and basically Islam would have to get tired. Like, if Volk can do that, Volk's got to be the greatest fighter ever. Like, straight up, if Volk can beat Islam, he's probably the most skilled fighter ever. And
the reason for that is just because like we said, Volk doesn't have that one punch knockout ability, so he's not. So it's gonna have to be like a 5-round absolute clinic he'll have to put on. You know what I mean? So like, that would be the most impressive performance ever, like undisputed in my opinion.
Straight up.
But like, it just doesn't seem realistic. Like, it just doesn't. Just stylistically, I just don't think
he's gonna hurt Islam. Islam has such a tight guard. He stands far away. Like,
but Islam is gonna have answers to everything. That's what that people gotta realize. Like, look, if Volk is super aggressive, he's gonna get taken down. If Volk isn't aggressive enough, he's gonna get pieced up on the feet. Like, it's just like, and then taken down. Like, there's just no way there's no like strategy for Volk to win the fight unless he somehow like.
He has to be a monster with takedown defense. That's
a million takedowns, but from a guy who's a weight class above, who out grapples 185 pounders,
right,
and 205ers, who's been grappling his whole life. Like, that's the only way he's gonna win that fight.
Yeah, he's gonna have to either knock him out early, or he's gonna have to have Robert Whittaker, Jose Aldo takedown defense.
He can knock him out early because he doesn't have the one punch knockout ability.
That's the thing.
He's gonna have to do something that we've never seen before.
Exactly. And I don't see.
I can't buy it. I just can't. I can't.
He could. There's a chance he KOs
like we
Islam,
said,
but like, it's so slim.
Chance. It's a 1%
chance. It's so slim. Like, you can't pick that to happen. And we like Volk. I want Volkanovski to win. I'd love to see Volk win. I feel like if Volk wins, it'll be a fun fight because it'll just be like so insane to watch. And I just think the guy who's going to beat Islam is going to have to be around his size, and they're going to have to be
power.
Someone with big power. Yeah, exactly. Like,
maybe
they either have to be someone who's just as good of a grappler, like, or a weight class above him, like Hamzat or something, or it's going to have to be someone like Fiziev, who has like big power too, who can KO you, who can stay on the feet. And I feel like at the lightweight class, even Fiziev wouldn't win. Like you need a guy who's
gas out.
Yeah, you gotta have a guy who's like Charles with a chin, who's got like really good wrestling defense. And there aren't many of those. There aren't many of those. Yeah.
I think Fiziev versus Islam is an interesting matchup.
It's interesting
because I would say that is probably the most interesting matchup right now, in my opinion, against Islam, because I know
not Dariush.
I think it's Fiziev, because I just think Fiziev is has better takedown defense. I would say Dariush is a better grappler, but
Dariush was stuffing everything from Gamrot.
That's Gamrot. Like
Gamrot's pretty good. He was taking down Armin. Armin was taking down Islam.
But that was late. Like I don't know. I still think
it's Armin, bro.
I have a question. I think RDA is a better grappler than Gamrot. That's what I think.
RDA.
I think he's better grappler than Gamrot.
I don't know. I think Gamrot's better grappler.
Also, you got to remember that was a 5-round fight against Armin.
But I think Armin is a better. I think Armin's a better grappler than Dariush. I think he's a better grappler. I think Armin could be the best.
I think Fiziev is the best at stuffing takedowns out of all those guys.
I'm not convinced.
That's what I think, because I think RDA is a really strong guy. I think just because he's old, you don't lose that kind of grappling. I think
he's fought at 155. He goes up to 170.
He's strong.
He's not a guy who's like. He's not someone that I look. He's a good grappler, but he's not on the same level as like Armin Sarukian. He's just not.
I mean, I don't know. I think also Fiziev
wrestling wise, like he's not the same wrestler. And the thing is, you need a guy who's a great wrestler. Fiziev stuff takedowns from RDA, but like.
But what I'm saying is, you got to be able to stuff some takedowns, and you have to have the power on the feet. So like that's what I mean. Like Armin and Dariush.
I understand, yeah.
Armin and Dariush aren't the strikers that Fiziev is. Fiziev's got the striking and he's got the takedown defense. So who knows if he's going to be if he's able to stop a couple takedowns from Islam, he may be able to knock him out. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think
I don't think so. I'm just saying that's like the only guy. That's the only like you're not going to out grapple him. That's what I'm saying. Like so that's why I don't think a Dariush or an Armin has a real chance against him.
But Armin could out grapple him. That's the thing.
You can't. You're not going to be able to. I don't think anybody could.
Armin, I feel like Armin could hang.
It's not even about being able to.
I wouldn't pick him, bro. I would pick against him.
But that's why the only guys who could realistically beat him are a guy who's like a Fiziev. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And he'll never move up to welterweight. These fucking
because he would lose. He would lose to Chimaev or Usman.
That's why I like Chimaev, because he's from that part of the world, but he's not in that crew.
Yeah, I like both. I mean, I like Islam.
Chimaev follows like Instagram chicks, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew that, but like Chimaev is following these Instagram baddies. I checked his page. And he's fucking liking their photos too. he ain't as halal. He ain't as religious Muslim as religious as all these other fucking.
Chimaev's funny. He's a funny dude.
Chimaev is like a legit villain, bro. Like I mean, this is aside the point, but we need Chimaev to come back, because, dude, he's so fucking fun to watch. But like,
and he's so entertaining.
Damn it, dude, he's so entertaining. I feel like I'd love to see him fight, but who the fuck is he gonna fight?
What I have to say before we get back to Islam about Chimaev, one more thing is like, there's nobody who makes you have a certain feeling in your body when he fights like Chimaev. That's all I gotta say. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like we're forgetting about him these days, because every time he fights, I know the Burns fight was like a war, but like, who else have we seen destroy people so quickly? I want to see him fight again, just so we can remind people like how good he is.
How good this guy is. Like, everyone makes up excuses.
People think like that he won't just go out there and dominate another, like fucking destroy someone in the first round. We've seen him do it, but I still want to see him like finish someone like Colby or Usman, like someone.
And people won't be able to say anything.
Yeah, who won't be able to say shit anymore, bro? Because like
he's also only getting better. That's what people keep.
He's only getting better. He's still 27. Jeez,
unreal. But
and back the Gilbert Burns moment, that he probably taught him so many lessons in that fight.
Back to Islam. I mean, look, we love Volk here. Go to our first couple of videos. We've been love it. Like, we've been like giving him the most appreciation, everything. We just have to be real. There's a 1% chance that he has to win. So
why do you think people think that we're disrespecting Volk by just?
Because I just think MMA fans are the most emotional fans there is. Like, and I think that I even saw I forgot. Oh, Javier Mendez. I really like Javier Mendez. I think he's a great guy, great coach. But he was like, they were like, who are you picking in a certain fight? Oh, Henry Cejudo versus Aljo. They're like, who are you picking in this fight? He's like, oh, I think I'm gonna pick Henry because I like Henry and stuff like that. That's kind of what the MMA community is. You know what I mean? Like if you like a guy, like you're supposed to like pick them, or else like you're a traitor. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's such, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I think it comes down to.
Exactly.
And like people I saw in your comments on your TikTok that people are like they said something about like you being like a hypocrite or something for like if Islam wins, like if Islam loses, you're happy because you're saving yourself or something. Either way, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
that's
like
bullshit. Like, yeah, exactly.
It's just a bunch of bullshit.
Like, here's the thing: we always pick in accordance to our reasoning. Even when we did Islam and Charles, we got that one wrong. We picked Charles, but
we gave like 5 valid reasons. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like, here's the thing: Islam hadn't shown us that striking before. Islam hadn't shown us that he could take down someone like Charles and have success with him. He hasn't shown us that he could like knock down a guy like Charles who had just been, knocking Justin Gaethje down, like putting people out and on this wild streak,
beating guys who could
something new,
quicker than Khabib.
Yeah, Charles was the better pick, like just the more rational pick, straight up.
Exactly. Like I mean, we both do this, I believe. Like when you pick fights, most of the times, 95% of the time, the guy who wins is the guy who has more ways to win. And we thought that Charles had more ways to win. So we picked him.
Same thing here, man. Like, we just think that Islam has more ways to win.
Also, you got to go with like the who's more proven most of the time. You know what I'm saying? Like Charles was proven.
If it was striker on striker, it'd be different, but it's not.
Charles was beat guys who could be beat, but quicker. So like, what are we gonna be like? We're gonna be like, oh, this guy, Islam, who's apparently the next Khabib, like, but hasn't
shown us any of that kind of dominance. Like he hadn't finished anyone who was like worthy of fucking even talking.
Yeah, so we're gonna say he could beat the number one guy, like just because we have to take Khabib's word.
And the thing is, like, we think that Volk is the best featherweight ever. Like we think he's the most skilled featherweight of all time.
But we also think that Islam's the best lightweight ever. So
we think he has exactly his potential. And I prefer watching Volkanovski. Like, I want to see him win. He's really skilled. If they were the same weight, it'd be a little more.
I still think Islam wins. I just think the way he distributes. I just think his it's not even just his. I just think those guys' technique. Like I was an interview of Joe Rogan and Dustin Poirier. He asked him like what it felt like to like have.
I know what you're talking about.
Like be on the ground with Khabib, and they're like, is he like ridiculously strong? He's like, no, it's not that he's the strongest. It's just the way he knows how to like put pressure to like on his certain spots, like weigh you down. Like it's just it's the technique, you know what I mean? And and it makes it like like,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's Volk. Yeah. It doesn't matter who Volk's training with, who's like a beast in jiu-jitsu. This is not jiu-jitsu. It's MMA. Like, these guys, when it comes to grappling in MMA, like, they're just different.
They're the best there is.
Volk can fucking grapple with however many big dudes he wants to. They're not Islam.
It won't make a difference. It won't make a difference. And also, like it's before we go on to the next topic, like Bobby Green said, like Bobby Green was accusing Islam of taking steroids. That's how much. That's what it feels like. You know what I mean? Like, that's how crazy it feels like. He may be on steroids, may not. I don't know, but like regardless, like that's how like crazy Islam feels grappling with.
And Islam's also jacked. Like, people don't understand that. He's if you look at him, like, he's shredded at 155, and he's like in the cage, shredded and muscular, well built.
He's more
got
jacked.
Arms. He's got a chest. The
difference between him and Khabib is he's more muscular naturally than Khabib.
Yeah,
he's
more
Volk, muscular.
Volk is like lean at 145. He's got really big legs, but he's not like super jacked. You know what I mean?
No. I think Volk, like, people are like, oh, you look at like they just think the rugby thing, but like, let's be honest, how heavy do you think Volk walks around at? Nothing more than 165.
No, I mean, I mean, when he's fighting a featherweight, he's probably like 165. I feel like off season he's probably in the 170s, but right now he's 176. Volk came out. There was a post on this MMA page. He's apparently 176, and they think he's going to be in the cage of 170. I think Islam
I think that's a
walks
bunch of fat.
around at like close to 200 off season. I think when he's in training camp, he's probably like 180. And then when he fights, he's, probably like 178, 80, 180. So
179.
Volk
Yeah.
at most is going to be like
160.
170.
But also like people are saying like okay, Islam's fucking Volk is getting this muscle, but that's gonna just make him have worse stamina, which is one of his greatest things. You know what I'm saying? I feel like people aren't really
Yeah.
taking that into account also. So I just think like I just don't see it happening. Like we could like I don't like if those of you who are picking Volk, give us
I
5
don't
reasons
even
why
think
you're
it's going to
picking
be a
Volk.
fun fight. Like, I honestly think Islam's going to finish him like in the first two rounds.
I think it'll be pretty quick, but I want people who are picking Volk to comment 5 reasons why you're picking Volk. I'm interested to see
Or just give
truly.
us one, or just give us like one,
Or
like if you think he's going to have like the craziest takedown defense at lightweight, then just say that. But I mean,
I just
come
want
on,
to hear. I'm interested to see because
yeah.
I just don't understand how it could happen. Like I'll give you 5 reasons Islam could win. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Like he's
if
got more
Volk
strength. Like,
fucking if Volk knocks down, if Volk can not even knock him down, if Volk can stuff the takedowns and like piece him up,
but
I will be
that's so
so impressed.
unrealistic. That's just so unrealistic.
I know
Really,
that's like
you know what I
what
mean?
he's
Like
thinking in his dreams.
Volk in your dreams is gonna stuff all these Islam Makhachev takedowns. Like it's just
Nah, he ain't doing it.
it's so unrealistic, and he's just not a power.
I give Charles a better chance to beat Volk.
Oh,
Easily.
Islam.
Charles could still hurt Islam and like sub him. He could
100%. I
sub
just
him.
don't think Volk has the creativity of that. A
He
Charles.
doesn't have the you have to either have like crazy power or Charles is still powerful. He doesn't have a chin,
Charles
which is why I
hits
don't
like a
give it to him.
truck.
But he still had like I think Charles could submit Islam. I think I would give Charles a better chance to submit Islam than I give Volk to win.
I think Charles has a way better chance. If they did a rematch,
I would go like 20% chance for Charles.
Yeah, because I think Charles has the power that Volk just doesn't have. You know what I mean? Like you saw in the
chin, man.
His chin is not there. He's also too hittable.
Yeah.
Like, and I would still pick Islam, but I just think Charles would have a better chance in the rematch than Volk does now. I just think that people aren't realize like stylistically, this is the worst possible matchup for Volk. This is Islam's easiest matchup in the top 10. Like this is easier than any other guy you'd fight in the top 10, I would have to say.
I don't know, man. I feel like
just think of it.
There's probably some other strikers who have worse.
Like, I mean, Poirier's got way more power.
Poirier would be fucked with. I feel like Poirier would. Gaethje, you think Gaethje's easier?
They just have more power.
Harder? Like I don't. Yeah, but I understand that. I just think that, I at least give it to Volk that he's probably like faster and harder to get.
If he's faster, if he's like striking, if he's more aggressive, he's just gonna get taken down easier.
Whereas I think Gaethje, like I don't even think Gaethje would have a moment. Like I feel like Volk could at least.
I mean, Gaethje had a moment against Khabib.
I feel like
he also could chop at the legs too. Like
I think Volk. I mean, the thing is, I don't know, man. I feel like Volk. The reason I'd say that is because I feel like Volk beats a lot of these guys at lightweight, just not Islam.
But I just think stylistic wise, it's an easier matchup.
I could see that. Just
you know what I'm saying? Like I just think that people aren't realizing like why this is going to be such an easy matchup. You know what I mean? And it's just going to be a complete mismatch. I think first 3 rounds for sure, without a doubt. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it's first round. But
let's talk about Charles because he's got something coming up with Dariush and we just
like
mentioned
it's in the works. Seems like it's in the works. Dariush versus Connor. Now that Fiziev versus Gaethje's booked, which we'll talk about in a little bit, the matchup that's the obvious matchup, and Oliveira's hinted to this matchup in the most obvious way possible. I don't know if you saw, but there was a video on YouTube, I believe, or somewhere that was in November or something. They're like Dariush.
Sure, it was YouTube or Instagram.
Some social media. They were like Dariush versus Oliveira is the fight to make, whatever. They were giving reasonings and stuff, but it was from a while ago. Charles a few days ago literally commented an emoji on it, like some emoji. Like, why are you commenting on that emoji on something from a while ago if there's not more to it? You know what I mean? So I think that's the next fight that's being made. It's the only fight that makes sense. What they're gonna do, Poirier versus Dariush? Come on, nobody cares to see that fight. Charles said also he wants to return as early as March or April, March, April, or June, something like that, along the next few months. And I think that's a perfect matchup for both guys. If you're Dariush, you beat Charles Oliveira, you can't like you first of all, you'll gain a lot of confidence going into Islam. Second of all, you can't deny him a title shot anymore. If you're Charles Oliveira, you beat a guy like Benny Dariush, he gets his confidence right back. And I honestly think we could see a better Charles Oliveira against Islam Makhachev than we saw in the first fight. Just because like sometimes like the guys when they lose, you get like there's different ways that people handle losses. Some people handle losses, they lose and they completely go downhill. Some guys they lose and they look at where they can improve on and they improve on that stuff and they have a better fight. So I think this is a great fight for both guys. I'm really hoping that they book this for a 5-round main event for a fight night, but just not at the Apex, or a 5-round co-main event for a pay-per-view, because this fight deserves to have fans in attendance for. What do you think?
Honestly, man, I like this fight. I think it's very competitive. You know, I don't care if Charles ever becomes champion again, and partly that's just because I'm so happy that he became a champion. His story is just so beautiful. It's so motivational. Coming from the favelas, one of the worst places to grow up in the world, such a humble beginning, having a rough start to his UFC career, losing fights, getting finished, being like, a guy that was under 500 and then going on this tremendous win streak, becoming a champion, defending his belt multiple times, going against the odds against Justin Gaethje when he missed weight and there was some sketchy shit going on with the athletic fucking sanctions. But man, I appreciate that Charles was even champ to begin with, and I honestly don't have an issue with saying this because of that. I think that the style that Charles Oliveira had, that he used to become a champion, that's that going forward, with reckless abandon, marching you down. I'm going to impose my will, and no matter what happens, I'm going to win no matter what. I'll get dropped 10 times. He needed that to become a champion, and it worked because he also has the skills when it comes to finishing. He's got some of the best jiu-jitsu I've ever seen in MMA, some of the best grappling in MMA, but I think that style has an expiration date. And for certain fighters, once that like marauder going forward, being willing to take a lot of shots, once that doesn't work anymore, they go downhill fast. And there are guys like Tony Ferguson. There are guys that like when they were going through everybody, they were still having wars. They were still putting on bangers. And Charles Oliveira is putting on bangers. The thing is, Dustin Poirier, he doesn't get hit that much. Like he has wars, but especially when it comes to his boxing, getting hit in the head, sure, he gets hit, but not as much as a guy like Charles. And he also has a granite chin. Charles was never known for having a granite chin. He was known for just being tough. And the thing is, man, I feel like he's going to lose to Dariush. And I think it's just going to be because of the chin. Like, here's what it is. I think that's the style that he needed to become successful because it gave him confidence, especially when he kept winning. There's no way Charles Oliveira can go in there and strike with Dustin Poirier and get the clinch and knee him to the body and gas him out just by being relentless after getting dropped multiple times without that confidence. And the thing is, he just got knocked down and submitted. And I know this is not Islam Makhachev, and I know that it's going to be harder for Beneil Dariush to submit him if he knocks him down. But dude, if he gets knocked down, he's not fighting Justin Gaethje or Dustin Poirier. He's fighting Beneil Dariush, who's like one of the best grapplers at the lightweight division. He proved that against Mateusz Gamrot. He's sick on the ground, and he's strong too. And the thing is, he has power. We've seen him drop guys. We've seen him KO guys. And I'm just worried that like Charles Oliveira needs to be able to take a shot. He needs to be able to get he's gotten dropped in all of his last fights. And it's not like Beneil Dariush doesn't hit hard.
He hits just as hard as any of these guys.
Yeah. I mean, I fear that Charles Oliveira's chin is really going downhill. And I feel like if he gets dropped, like I just don't think it's going to go so well. Because we know that when someone gets on top of you, you could have a sick ground game. It's usually, your MMA submission skills drop by 50%. You know what I mean? So unless you're Paul Craig, I'm going to lean towards Dariush. I feel like he's got the better chin. He's tougher. He's okay on the feet. He's a really good wrestler. I mean, it's going to be hard to take him down. And I feel like the way that Charles wins is by hurting him. And
Knock him out.
I feel like when it comes to who's gonna get dropped first, I think it's more likely that Charles gets dropped first. I mean, if Charles can drop Dariush,
Oh,
I
he's
think
gonna
he'll
win the
finish
fight.
him.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like Charles is gonna come out a little more tentative because his last fight he got dropped and he got submitted, and he's been getting dropped a lot. I hope this time off refreshes his chin because it's all dependent on the chin. I think he's a better fighter than Beneil Dariush. It's just the chin, dude. And I think there's an expiration. I'm gonna pick Dariush.
Yeah, I think Charles Oliveira should win this fight. Will he win it? I don't know because I think people are gonna see what Islam Makhachev did to Charles, and they're gonna start when they're hurting him. They're gonna start jumping on top of him. I think, and I think that's what people are made mistakes in the past. Like I think when Gaethje hurt Charles, he should have jumped on top of him. I
I
think that when
disagree big
Poirier
time. KG would have been fucked.
or Poirier, I think one of these guys like I think they were
Dariush is different than these guys, bro. Dariush is a sick
exactly no,
grappler.
so it's gonna be even easier. But I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
what I'm saying is like I just think that people were overestimating. Like I think they were just like thinking he was doing it as a joke and like or just to get people to jump on top of him and stuff like that. But I think he's been hurt when he gets dropped in these fights. And when you're on the ground with someone who's hurt, they could be amazing at jujitsu. You could still finish them. You know what I mean? Like if you're decent on the ground. So I think that's kind of what people made mistakes in the past with, or at least engage a little bit. You should engage a little bit with him. You know what I mean? And Charles Oliveira has shown quit. You know what I mean? He's shown quit. That was kind of the argument before that he doesn't show quit. He showed quit again. He still has it in him to quit.
I don't know if he showuld quit against Islam though. I feel like
I mean, he's still tapped. So like it's
yeah,
kind
but
of like
that's I
it was
don't
also
know if
kind of an
that's
early tap.
I don't count tapping as quitting.
But it was also an early kind of a little early. And
But Islam squeeze, bro. Like
that
I
is
feel
true.
like
But anyways, but Benny Dariush is a very good grappler too. So like it doesn't even need to be like it's not even like we're talking about a Justin Gaethje or Dustin Poirier. Like if Benny drops him, I think he submits him too, or I think he finishes off with ground and pound. I don't think he's gonna be worried about Charles's grappling when he's hurt. Like you know what I mean. So, but at the same time, Charles is the way more skilled fighter than Dariush. He's got way more skill. Um, so he could win this fight, but I can just see this fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight because I can see it going both ways. I can see Charles being too much for Dariush and really hurting him and dropping him and just finishing him or submitting him or anything. But I can also see Charles' chin just not being the same, him being a little tentative, getting dropped and just getting submitted right away. Like in the first round at some point, or maybe, yeah, first round, you know. But if I had to make an early prediction, I would probably say I'm gonna say Charles. I'm gonna say Charles beats Benny. I'm gonna say he does. I think he's gonna be too much for him, and I think he's gonna come out super aggressive, and maybe not right away, but I think at some point in the first two rounds, I think he's gonna be a little bit too much for Benny. I think he's gonna knock him down and submit him by rear naked choke. That's my prediction. But I can also see Benny winning also. Like I think it's a 50-50 fight, but I just think Charles. I'm gonna be picking Charles. Yeah, I would say.
I hope to God that it's not a fucking fight night in an Apex.
Because this is going to be a banger of a fight. That's what I have to say.
If they
But
put this in the Apex, that is like I'm actually going to
same with
I'm gonna make a video about it.
They better not put it to Apex. But I mean, I could also kind of see. I mean, I was gonna say I could see it being Dariush versus Tony, kind of similar to that, but I actually don't think I could because I think Oliveira is better on the ground than Tony was.
Oh yeah, there's no way. Tony's kind of trash, like on the ground compared to
On his
Oliveira.
back, like
On his
yeah.
Yeah, Tony's good on the ground. Like he's pretty nasty, but when he fought Dariush, he was washed. Like this was after Charles fucked him up on the ground.
But the on the ground doesn't really change that much as you get old. I feel like that
Yeah, but I still think Charles
is better though.
Islam didn't do anything to Charles on the ground.
Yeah, Charles was very impressive against Islam in that first round, I have to say though. But in terms of being on the ground, pulling guard was very stupid. But whatever. Back to the Dariush versus Charles. I just think like I can envision it just being Charles just being way too much for Dariush and just knocking him down and
See the thing is, I understand that, and that's the way I think he would win. Because for me, like Charles, the reason he became a champion is because he was too much everywhere. Like he was always pressuring, even against Michael Chandler. He was pressuring as soon as that second round started. He was marching forward and he knocked him out. Fucking knocked him out. Like who else has knocked out Chandler that way? Not many people. Like he just put him out with a beautiful left hook combination against the fence. He was out of there. But I just think that, Chandler was tired. He gassed out. I think that after after his championship reign, I feel like there's an expiration date, and Charles needed that toughness. He had a ticking time bomb, and I feel like it's blown up at this point. When he was champion, the Charles Oliveira that fought Dustin, like nobody beats him when he fought. Like Islam might have been the only guy.
Yeah.
I think if he fought Dariush back then, he would have fucked him up. I just think at this point he's taken so much damage that I think when these guys have an exchange and they get wild, because both of them can be wild on the feet, I just think that Dariush probably got that chin.
He's
and
gonna drop him. And
I just think Dariush
if Dariush drops him, he's gonna win the fight. That's what I think. Whoever drops who is gonna win the fight.
And I think that Charles is easier to hit. He gets hit a lot, man.
I agree. But at the same time, I can also just see Charles just like coming out like with just like guns blazing, and then just being way too much for Dariush. When clipping him and just submitting him.
I'm thinking about the Gaethje fight. Gaethje still dropped him, and that's
everyone drops him. That's the problem.
Everyone drops him, but here's the thing: it's like he got dropped by Poirier. That's Poirier. He's nowhere near the same level of wrestler grapplers. And of course, Gaethje's shit on the ground. He's dog shit on the ground. So I just know that the chances of him getting dropped seem very likely. And the chances of this guy going to the ground with him is also pretty likely. So I don't know, man.
My thing is just
I could see Dariush winning a decision too, just knocking him down and getting on top of him.
I don't think an Oliveira fight can go to a decision.
I think I wouldn't be surprised, man. I'm really rolling with Dariush. Like I know that Charles can finish anyone in the lightweight division.
Even Islam.
I feel like his style was only good when he was like that. Only worked to get him to the top to become a champ. Like once it doesn't work anymore, it'll never work again. That's the way I feel like. It's not that he's been exposed. It's just that he's taken too much damage at this point. And I think that he needed to have a style like that to become a champion, to be a reigning champion. And now, after a while, once the damage adds up and now you're getting dropped super easily and you're only going to take on these high-level grapplers, like, I don't think it's going to work. If he was fighting Gaethje again, I'd pick him. If he was fighting a striker like Poirier again, I'd pick him. But not against a guy with power who can also wrestle and grapple is at the top of the division. I would still pick Oliveira to beat tons of strikers, just not this guy.
I think what we also got to remember, I think Oliveira is going to change. I think he should change his style to fight Dariush. I don't think.
How do you think so?
I don't think he needs to be wild against Dariush. I think he could like just strike with him like a little bit calmer. Like Dariush would strike with people. That's the thing.
Charles is a better striker for sure. He just gets hit.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's less aggressive, he's not going to get hit as much. You know what I'm saying? So like
Charles that fought Justin Gaethje with that was some of the best striking ever, bro. And he was taking big shots. Like he doesn't get knocked down by everything. He was taking big shots and taking them. I just think that man,
I could see it going both ways. I just think that Oliveira should be able to win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's able to win.
I could just picture him winning. I could just picture him knocking Dariush down and then just submitting him. I could just see it. But at the same time, I can also see Charles's chin just being like done at this point and just getting knocked down, and Dariush won't be scared to get on top of him because he saw what Islam did to him. And I think he would just get on top of him and submit him too. Like I can see both ways. That's the crazy thing. I just think that like Oliveira should be able to win though. But it's 50-50. If I were to would I put money on it? No. I'm definitely leaning Charles at this point.
I'd put money on it, bro. I would put money if I think that the underdog is going to be Beneil Dariush. I think that's a really good underdog.
It's going to be close though, I would say, right?
It's going to be close, but I know that Beneil is going to be the underdog, and because people are like, he lost to Islam, he's still a beast. Like I know he's still good, but it's just about the chin for me. Like I just
Yeah,
feel like he's too easily hurt,
I see
and
that also.
I don't like that.
I just at the same time, like I just if if he doesn't get dropped in the first round, he's gonna win the fight.
Dude, I don't think he cannot. I don't
Yeah,
think he
that's
can get away with not getting dropped in the first
it's
round.
such a weird thing because like Charles could just finish anybody.
He
It's
gets
just, but
dropped.
he could also lose to anybody. Like Islam, he could have finished Islam, but he was also could have gotten like destroyed, which he did. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like he has the ability to knock power and ability to knock out anybody, but like he also just opens himself up so much to get
I hope
hurt and
Charles
stuff.
goes out there guns blazing and just fucking puts it on the line. The thing is, I
I
don't
don't
think
know if
that's
you
gonna
can do
happen, and
that.
I think he's still gonna get caught. Like I don't care that much. I want Charles to win. I'll be rooting for him. He's one of my favorite fighters. If he wins, I'll be so happy, and I'd love to see him win because I don't really give a shit about Beneil Dariush.
Oh, he's
I'm
very
just
good.
gonna pick Beneil Dariush because I think he'll win.
I'm 50-50. I'm pretty much 50-50, 51 Charles.
I'm 65, 35.
I'm about 40. I'm about 51-49 for Charles. So I'm
Okay.
not very confident at all. But I just have an image in my head of just Charles just like catching him and then getting his back and like submitting him. So I'm gonna be picking Charles. But if Dariush wins, I'm not gonna be surprised at all. I won't be betting on this at all. I'm not confident enough on either guy. Maybe my pick will change, but I don't know. I'm hoping. My hope is that Charles changes up his style a little bit. That's what I'm hoping for. And yeah, so that's my hope. But another lightweight fight that was just booked. Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. We've talked about this fight a couple times on our podcast. This has been the fight to be made for months now. Perfect fight for both guys for that matter. You know, we
Yeah.
finally are seeing these old guys stopping fighting each other and fighting the young bucks. You know, hopefully that
Yeah.
continues and hopefully like a Armin Sarukian fights a Poirier or a Chandler or something and that continues. But yeah, no, I mean I'm excited for this fight. I think it's gonna be a banger no matter how long it is. It could be a second 2-round fight and I could still see it being considered the fight of the year. Um, I think Fiziev is going to win this. I could see him knocking him out in the first couple rounds, but I can also see it going to a decision because Justin Gaethje is fucking tough. But my pick would probably be Fiziev by a second or third round knockout. But who do you see winning? Do you have
Man,
any predictions?
I think it's gonna be a knockout. I think second or third knockout. You know, I think that it'd be unfair to say first round knockout. I mean, sure, Justin Gaethje got dropped, but it's the style. Like Fiziev's not as aggressive as
No,
Oliveira.
no.
He has the power to do it, but he's more patient. I think he learned a lesson from fighting Bobby Green, where he gassed out a little bit in that fight,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ever since then, he's been a lot more patient. When he fought Brad Riddell after that, he was very patient, and then knocked him out with a spinning wheel kick to the head. And then against RDA, really patient and knocked him out in the last round with a beautiful combination. Like he's really disciplined now with his striking, and I just know that Gaethje is. It's
No.
just a matter of time before he makes a mistake and gets KO'd. Like for sure, I think Gaethje might be able to land some good shots on Fiziev. You know, Fiziev can get hit, but he's not gonna. I don't think
He's
he's
got
gonna
a
get
good
hit
chin
clean.
too.
And I think he's too. Yeah, exactly. He's got a really good chin, and I think that he's too skilled to get into a war with Justin Gaethje. I think he's too good of a technical striker. Whereas I think he'll get hit, but every shot that he's going to get hit with, he'll probably see it coming. And I
And
think
he'll
that
land a couple after.
exactly. And I just think that it's at some point Justin Gage is going to make a mistake and Fiziev's just going to catch him with like a big knee and then he'll follow up with a big hook. His like dude, he's so good at Muay Thai. Like he's got
He's
perfect
the
Muay
best
Thai.
Muay Thai fighter in the UFC.
Got to be.
I
Yeah,
would say.
100%.
Like
Got the best Muay Thai skill that I've seen and like he's got big power. His kicks are good. Gage's kicks are good, but I think that Fiziev's are probably better. And Fiziev's got really good kicks to the body. I just think he'll find an opening. Justin Gaethje's going to make a mistake, and Fiziev's gonna knock him out second or third round.
Yeah, I also think that like I mean, stylistically, this is an awful matchup for Gaethje. Gaethje's a guy who likes to go to war. He wins by going to war. You know, he
Toughness. He
out toughens
relied on
people.
that toughness, like Oliveira. You know.
But You can't against a guy like Fiziev. You can't do it against a striker with this high level of striker. You can't. If you make a dumb mistake, if you like reach in like you did against Oliveira, if you like out like whatever, like you know what I'm talking about, right? When he was like you strike
Yeah.
and you just like almost fell over. If you do that to Fiziev, you're getting knocked out right away. Right away. So I just think that I agree with you. I think he's gonna make a mistake and I think he's getting knocked out.
I
Like
mean,
it's just
he's gotten destroyed by a lot of these strikers. Like, you got to think of it.
Dustin
He got
Poirier.
destroyed on the feet by Oliveira. Like, Oliveira's a good striker,
He's not.
but that's some of the most impressive Muay Thai striking I've seen in MMA too. Oliveira versus Gaethje. Like, Oliveira looks sick in that fight despite getting dropped because, of course, he gets dropped a lot. But in general, his striking looked great against Gaethje. He was embarrassing Justin Gaethje, like really embarrassing, setting up like
5 seconds.
Really complex combinations on him.
Also, you look at him against Poirier.
And even Alvarez, Alvarez knocked him out, destroyed him. So, like, we got to look at the guys Gaethje's beat. I think his best win is Edson Barboza. But, other than that, of course, he beat Cowboy James Vick. Like, these are older guys who are a little washed up. And, he beat Tony, but Tony was washed. Like, that was not prime Tony. And I'll never say that he has beat a prime Tony. He did not beat a Tony Ferguson that was still
prime Tony left after the Pettis fight.
After after that he took on Cowboy. He didn't look the same in that fight. Ever since that Pettis fight, I feel like that was his peak, and ever since then he started declining.
And then Fiziev is young as fuck. You know what I mean? He doesn't get hit like Tony.
Yeah, he's got power. He's like, I just think like Gaethje's chin is getting worse too. Like, this is the first time we've really seen him get sparked like on the floor
in the first round.
He got starched in the first round, and like, dude, I know that he didn't get KO'd, but like, he still took a lot of damage in that fight, and he said that he's never been hit that hard. So I think he's screwed. And I mean, listen, if I'm Justin Gaethje's manager, I'm honestly saying I'm trying everything that I can do to get a different fight. I'm super happy that this fight's happening in the UFC. I'm shout out to the UFC for actually giving the fans what they want. I know I don't give the UFC a lot of credit all that much, but this is where there's credit due. Shout out to the UFC. Sure. But if I'm Justin Gaethje and I'm a realist, which he's probably not, because he probably thinks he can beat this guy, then I'd probably just become the Bellator champion, because I think like he's still good enough to be like a Bellator champion or something like that.
Yeah,
but,
or PFL or something, which we'll talk about later. But no, so no, I just think you can't get into. I think it comes down to this: you can't get into wars with Fiziev.
No,
and that's Justin Gaethje's way of fighting. If you get into a war with I mean, you're not going to get into a war with Fiziev. If you try to make it sloppy with Fiziev, you're going to get knocked out cold. Knocked out cold. You're either going to get hit with.
Chandler had more success with Gaethje than I mean, Gaethje had more success with Chandler than he did with Poirier. Like, I mean, what I mean? He doesn't really have success with these high level strikers.
There's a reason for that, because Poirier is a way high level, way better striker, and I think Fiziev's a better striker than Poirier. I think he's harder to hit than Poirier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, like it's gonna be interesting to see if this is gonna be a 3-rounder or 5-rounder, because I think Fiziev could have problems if it's a 5-rounder and he doesn't get Gaethje out in the first 3 rounds. That's
all I know is they like, if I'm the UFC, I'm making this a 5-rounder on a pay-per-view. I'm putting this as a co-main event. I mean,
that could cause problems to Fiziev, though. It could, because if I don't think
so. I think Gaethje's got a suspect gas tank,
but so does Fiziev. Fiziev carries a lot of muscle, stuff like that.
Fiziev knocked out RDA. RDA's got a better gas tank.
He was kind of slowing down that fight. Like, he took the whole 3rd round off. You know what I mean?
I know. I'm just saying, okay, well, I understand that. If you want to make it a banger, then you make it a 3-rounder on a pay-per-view.
I heard someone say, like, right before we got on, that it's planned for the London card.
UFC 285.
Or wait, is that the London card?
Yeah, that is the London card. Perfect fight. Now they just need to get Arnold Allen on there versus Ortega. Get Usman and Edwards, Chimaev, and someone else, dude. This is so doable. You already have Fiziev, Gaethje. Get Arnold Allen, Ortega, and then just please get Chimaev on there. It's so doable. And the truth is, one of them's gonna fall off. So, like, fuck, man, just make that.
I'm honestly super grateful for the UFC making this fight. I have to say, like, we trash on the UFC a lot, rightfully so. You know what I mean? Like, look at fucking UFC Brazil. Look at fucking the Perth card now. Look at UFC 282, stuff like that. Look at 279. Look at the card coming up this weekend that we won't even talk about. We're boycotting,
Yeah.
But no, like I have to give credit where credit's due. This fight's a banger. This is the fight that all the fans have wanted to see since Fiziev finished RDA. And
Yeah, man.
I'm super excited. This is a featured fight in London, or you put this as the first fight on the card for London. That'd be amazing. You put Paddy Pimblett on it against Jared Gordon too. Fans would be excited for that. You put Arnold Allen versus Ortega or fucking Max. Imagine.
Do you think there's any chance that Hamzat fights on that card?
Unless it's against Leon.
Bilal Muhammad. I feel like that. Here's what the London card should be: Usman, Edwards, Chimaev, Muhammad, Gaethje, Fiziev, Ortega, Allen. Arnold Allen, and then Paddy Pimblett and Jared Gordon. And on the prelims, you have Nathaniel Wood versus Nathaniel Wood's a great fighter out of the UK. You put him up. He just signed to fight some other guy like Lerone Murphy or something. I think they're both from the UK. You also do
put on there.
The flyweight. What's his name?
Makayev.
From Makayev. You put Makayev on there as well. He's from the UK. And Molly McCann.
Dan Hooker.
Dude, they could stack
this London card could be so fucking sick.
I know Aspinall. Aspinall's not going to be on it.
He's not going to be ready, but you don't need Aspinall. You put Dan Hooker on it. Like
I think that the chances they get Chimaev on it are slim because
unless it's against Leon.
No, I think Usman's fighting Leon.
But, dude, that's Ali, bro. You got to take everything.
I don't think that Ali would say that why would he say it if it wasn't true at all? Because if Usman was injured,
so why isn't it booked?
Ali would never say that Usman's fine. He'll be fighting Leon.
But why is it not booked then?
Well, that's true. That's true. I just think there's some slight minor contract negotiations. That's not until late March. Remember the UFC, the first March card.
No, that's the first March card. It's not.
No, it's the other way around.
You sure?
Oh, wait, we're wrong. This Gaethje Fiziev fight's in Vegas, bro. Damn it. You know what? Why don't they just? I'm not mad because it's sooner, but like.
Wait. Is it on is it supposed to be on the pay-per-view or the
It's the pay-per-view.
Okay, good.
But nonetheless,
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
But I feel like they need something like that in London and they won't do it. They won't do it.
But
they will not give us Ortega versus Arnold Allen. They won't. Dude, if I'm the UFC, I'm booking every single fight on main cards from now on. Everything like Gaethje Fiziev. They can do it. Okay. Gaethje Fiziev happened on that card. Okay, guess what? Armin Poirier. It's very easy. Just do one of those in each weight class on every pay-per-view. Straight up. There are so many options. And guys fight multiple times a year.
What about Topuria? Topuria is available to fight. He did
Dude, they might do Whitaker on the London card now. Because Whitaker doesn't have an opponent. And think about it, like, I guarantee you they'll find someone for Whitaker. Delidze versus Vittori. That's 285. Why are they making all these fights for like fucking 10 cards from now? Just what the heck? Why can't they fix the card that they have in Perth?
Why can't you fix Perth?
But I think that Whitaker is gonna want to fight soon, and I think that that like end of March.
Pay Paulo Costa.
They'll do Paulo, or they'll maybe do who else can Whitaker fight?
Nobody. Pereira.
He's not, dude. Jared Cannonier. I don't want to see that shit.
Pereira.
Honestly, man, I don't think so because like Pereira's gonna fight Izzy again, and I can't wait to see that. I can't wait.
Why isn't there buzz about Izzy Pereira then?
Because I think Pereira is the kind of guy who doesn't want to fight that often. He needs to cut a lot of weight. And Izzy,
what if they put
Izzy's dying to get in there again?
What if they put Aljo versus Cejudo on the London card?
I think they're probably going to do that in Vegas.
So that card's going to be unbelievable. If it's John Jones versus Francis.
Oh, they're not doing John Jones versus Francis.
Not that soon.
Dude, I think if Jones Francis happens, it's like July.
At that point, it won't happen.
Dude, it will literally
At that point, it won't happen.
Dude, they'll be like, Dana White's going to have an interview soon, and he'll be like, we're targeting that for July, International Fight Week. Like, as if they couldn't just do it on like
Connor's going to go to International Fight Week.
Exactly. Like, dude,
I think Conor McGregor comes
Jones
back.
And Francis are never honestly. Francis and Ngannou. I feel like the UFC should just straight up cut him if he doesn't fight Jones next.
I think that's where the problem lies. I don't necessarily only think it's Jones.
I think it's Francis. Like Francis is. I think it's Francis.
He's a prima donna.
I fucking can't stand Francis as champion, bro.
Yeah.
Like he had so much potential to be a fun champion. Like he doesn't even have the style to where you should.
I want Sergey to be.
The guy's a brawler.
champion.
Just fucking fight.
I want Sergey to be champion now.
Honestly, man, like I feel I still want to see Francis versus Jones. If I'm the UFC, I'm saying, listen, guys, what the fuck is going on? What are you guys doing? Francis Ngannou.
But they must know behind the
scenes. Do you want 5 million? Like you've never been paid 5 million for a fight. Do you want it or not? Okay, this is when it is. You've been out for over a year. You're fighting on this card or you're cut. Yes or no? Straight up.
I like that.
And then you say that to John Jones too. Like, hey man, Francis is going to fight you.
I don't think it's by John Jones though. I don't think it's him. I don't think it's like him. I think Stipe is retired.
No, Stipe's not even. He's not even in the conversation.
But I think that's why Jones hasn't returned. At least
because
this
of Francis, probably.
I think it's because of Stipe and Francis.
I don't think Stipe's retired. It's got to be Francis.
So it's Francis. So it's Francis's fault because I feel like Jones is ready to return.
Dude, Francis is injured. I'm gonna check his Instagram. What is he up to?
He's also like 300 pounds now, so he's gonna have to do like a full on like crazy cut. You know.
Let's see.
I don't know. Like,
let's see this.
Sergey's for right now.
Francis Ngannou is literally like what my heavyweight is he in Cameroon?
The real heavyweight champion
He's
is
in Cameroon
right now.
I mean, dude, Francis is come on, man. He's kicking. He's kicking. Look at him kicking, bro. He's a damn. Those are some nice kicks.
For what honestly, I know, man.
I think he's in Cameroon
Sergey's
right now.
Champion. I consider Sergey the champion of the heavyweight division.
Honestly, man, I think the way that Francis is looking, I think he's coming back. I think he'll be back. Oh, come on, man, just fight.
First to defeat.
He's training again. He's fine.
He's got a bit of a belly now.
Is John Jones doing anything? I'm checking Jones's Instagram.
John Jones is always posting stuff though.
But not really. Like he's not posting it. Where I don't see his Instagram. Did he delete his Instagram?
Did he what? Is he gonna?
I think he deleted his Instagram.
Why?
I don't see it, man.
I don't see it either. Does he have Twitter?
Nah, he deleted it, bro.
What is going on?
He deleted his IG.
Does he have Twitter? No, he doesn't have. Does he not have Twitter? Oh, he has Twitter still. The last thing he said was champion 2023.
Damn, dude, the Brazilian president is staying with Jose Aldo in Florida. He fled Brazil because people were protesting against him, and apparently he went to Jose Aldo's house. Pretty cool.
Did you see that Aldo's fighting in a boxing match in February?
Yeah, I see. Aldo's pretty good, man. Like
I like Aldo.
Honestly, most underrated fight ever. I know I told you this, but it's got to be Aldo. It's got to be Aldo and Jan. That's such a good fight, bro.
I actually didn't end up watching it. I was watching the beginning and I had to do something.
Dude, you gotta watch it.
Rewatch
it's such a good fight. Like even this, it's big. Peter Yan is a good first round. He like knocks him down, but Aldo also knocks Piotr down with a leg kick. But the second, third, and fourth round are so crazy. But either way, man, like, man, I wish the UFC could just honestly, it just boils down to money. Like, just make it happen. Yeah, it's the biggest fight that could happen right now, aside from Conor. It is arguably as big of a Conor McGregor pay-per-view. I mean, can't they just... I mean, it's literally going to sell over 1 million. Just pay them. Mm-hmm. Just pay them.
They're going to be so hard to do? They're profiting way more.
If the UFC goes all out this year and actually gives us the fights that we want, they will grow the sport. They'll do better. And who cares even if they fucking lost? I mean, come on, just pay these cunts, man.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm hoping that the Jake Paul signing to PFL will kind of put some more pressure to the UFC. But I don't think that's going to do anything to the UFC, bro. I mean, let's be honest, bro. They're too comfortable.
The PFL is like, their product is kind of shitty. They have good production. It's not that. People will watch Jake Paul, but no one's going to watch the PFL. They'll watch Jake Paul, not the PFL. That's the thing. And like, come on, man, just make it happen. Just get them in the cage. Like, why is it so hard?
But what if Jake Paul signs guys like Francis and Paula?
Oh, Jake Paul's working with the PFL?
Yeah,
Well, I think that I don't think the PFL is ever going to rival the UFC. Like,
but maybe I don't know. Maybe just the thought will kind of put some pressure onto the UFC to make better cards.
unless they put on a card the same day as a big UFC card that's also big, it'll
What if
never.
Jake Paul fights on a PFL card the same night as a UFC shitty event?
That would be smart. I
Yeah,
think he's done that before.
I think that's very smart. But I don't know if he'll actually fight in MMA. I don't know if it'll ever actually happen.
You don't think he'll fight in MMA?
I don't know if it'll ever actually happen. I think he's kind of just like doing this just to like then he'll be like, oh, people are just ducking me or something.
No,
I don't
I think he's gonna fight MMA. That's what it's
you
all about.
you actually think he's gonna fight though?
Oh yeah,
I feel like he won't. I don't know.
you dude. I think he's gonna fight someone, and I feel like Nate Diaz is the perfect guy.
But I don't know. Would Nate Diaz take the fight?
The PFL would pay him, dude. The PFL,
Well,
they have.
they'd pay him a
I
lot.
don't understand. Here's what I want to say. I don't get how the PFL makes money because like
They don't
they
make
give
money.
out $1 million to the tournament winners, but like their pay-per-views are $50. Who the fuck is watching the PFL and paying for it?
Who the fuck is watching Kayla Harrison?
My thing is, where are they getting money? Like, there's no way that they're turning a profit. I can't comprehend that they could possibly turn a profit. They're not fighting in front of big sold out crowds. They're not selling pay-per-views. I guarantee you that there's no way that the PFL sold over 1,000 pay-per-views. There's no like who is buying that? And the thing is, you would just stream it. And even like I'll stream Bellator main events sometimes. I'll stream boxing fights. I've never streamed a PFL fight ever. I've seen it on ESPN Plus live. I've seen it on live TV here and there. I've never streamed it and I never would because I don't really give a fuck about any of the PFL fighters
Unless
except for Jake Paul. Exactly. So
What
like
if we get a guy like Paulo Costa or Francis Ngannou?
Bellator is better. Like I prefer Bellator. At least Bellator. I watched Danny Salvatello versus Rufian Stotts. That was a good fight. I'll watch Umar Nurmagomedov. I'll watch Yoel Romero. I would love to see Yoel Romero. I'll watch some of the Bellator fights. I also like One Championship. I think that One Championship is probably the most underrated organization. Like every time Demetrius Johnson fights, I watch it. I love watching their Muay Thai. I think that the PFL is like probably. I think that those Bellator and it goes the UFC, it goes Bellator and one. I think they're tied. They're and then the PFL is way down here because outside of Jake Paul, outside like they have what Anthony Pettis, like gosh man.
But they're willing to spend
Bellator is Yoel Romero. Like Yoel's still a beast. One Championship has Demetrius Johnson. They have Muay Thai. They have grappling. They have One Championship's fun to watch, bro. I love watching One Championship. They have some sick strikers. Roberto Soldic. They have really good grapplers. Like, it's just that, yeah, the PFL. I feel like it's a very, very professional company. I think that's why Paul signed to them. But I feel like it would have been better that he had signed to Bellator. Or like, yeah, or one. I think Bellator because it has more of an American audience than one, but I think Bellator is probably bigger than the PFL.
But I also think that they have a lot of money to spend too.
That's probably why he joined because of the money.
Yeah, and I also think that they could pay guys like Francis Ngannou, Paulo.
But like, how are they getting this money?
They're not. I mean, they're not making the money. They're just.
But who's in charge of it? Because they must be like super rich.
Someone in charge of it's probably really rich and just like is like, okay, we're not going to make money for the next couple of years, maybe for the next, but 10 years from now we're going to be rivaling.
Yeah, if I'm the PFL, I'm signing people like Jake Paul, and I'm not really focusing on like having the most skilled fighters because they're basically doing what Bellator does. They're getting old UFC fighters, but I don't think that's the way to go. I think that's Bellator's thing. I don't think they should do that. I feel like they should invest in some other shit.
You need to make a move with a guy like Paulo Costa or Francis. That's what you need. That's what they need to do. If they can get Francis, they could pay him a lot of money.
They'll never get a guy in their prime like that.
I mean, dude, if Jake Paul speaks with like I saw him with Francis once. Like who knows if they're in contract.
If Francis goes into any other organization, I think he'll do boxing. I don't think he's joining the PFL. It's MMA. Like I doubt he's doing that.
What if they offer him a lot of money? What if Jake Paul?
Of course, money talks, but I think Jake Paul's the kind of guy that they're really going to offer lots of money to. I feel like he's
But he's going to be
bigger
working
than
with them.
Francis.
He's going to be working with them, so he could pay Francis.
Maybe we'll see. We'll
You know
see.
how he's competitive with Dana White. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
He could see Francis and Coster having all these problems, and he could swoop in and be like, "Oh, I'll give you a couple million to fight," and then
If I'm
next
if
thing
I'm
you know
Jake
it,
Paul, I'm making my own boxing cards and I'm offering Francis to fight an MMA fight on my boxing card.
that could
In
happen.
general, I mean, listen, I'm looking forward to seeing Jake Paul fight MMA. Um, I'm but like I don't know how big it is going to be for the PFL. I just think like people are going to tune in to watch him fight and it'll do numbers. But ain't nobody buying a pay per view for the PFL.
Unless you get guys like Francis or Paula, that's the only.
Yeah,
That's
like if I'm not gonna buy the
you're not
fucking,
gonna watch
I'm not
Anthony.
buying the UFC 283. Hell no, I'm
No,
streaming that.
no. Also, you're not gonna buy like a fight that just because
If
Anthony
they
Pettis
made
is on it.
Jones, if they made Jones and Ngannou, and they also did like other stacked cards, other stacked fights, I would probably buy the pay per view. But like, they're not getting the UFC. I feel like is about to have the worst year they've ever had.
But
Well,
Connor's
not ever
coming
had,
back.
but I think the UFC is going to have the worst year that they've had in the last 5 years.
I think 2022 was really bad for them. You know,
2022 was still okay. I mean,
they
I
didn't
think
break
this
over.
year to be
They didn't break
really,
over 500K pay-per-views once.
yeah, it was rough for them. Well,
You know
2022
they
wasn't.
actually they have a deal with ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus
Yeah,
kind of made an investment. I think I saw Jesse and Fire
yeah,
talk.
yeah. They're not living up to it.
No, because they're supposed to be like selling 500 plus
I I I
500
hope that
plus K pay-per-views.
Yeah, I hope that they lose that deal because honestly, like I understand that they get on primetime TV, but I feel like they stopped working really hard, you
And I
know?
think they spread the cards out a lot more since they got the ESPN deal.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they're done with it. But another thing from this week I wanted to talk about but Khabib is done coaching, and I was a bit confused. I was like, does this have to do with the Dana White? And I still kind of don't really understand it. Like, why is Khabib done coaching? Like, I don't really like get it. Have you seen anything about it? Like, I don't.
I don't know. I think apparently he wants to spend more time with his family and he wants to do more like personal business stuff. I think it just boils down to he's been so active in MMA. He's been so busy like training guys like Islam. I think he just wants to spend time with his family. I mean, I only see Habib traveling around the world. Like I feel like I don't know if he
He's
brings
always
his
doing
family with
something.
him. He's always doing something. I don't know if he brings his wife with him or his kid, but I assume that he might not be because again, he's saying he wants to be with his family, and Habib seems like the guy that wants to be like a good father. And there's no way he's bringing his son to like training camps and like going
No.
to every time he goes to the World Cup in Abu Dhabi, his wife is there. Like, I don't know if that's the case. So I feel like think he wants to, just be with his family. I think that's great, man. I think he's done enough. And, Coach Habib, I'm sure he's a great coach, but let's be honest, like, you know, Islam Islam is not going to not be a champion because Habib is not coaching him
Yeah.
anymore. So for sure, Habib was probably necessary for Islam to even get there in the first place, but still, like I feel like his guys are all still skilled. They have the same remembrance of the style of coaching that Habib's father had, so that's probably why.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think this is for real this time. Like, I don't. Do you think he's gonna come to Perth with Islam, or do you think he's just not
Oh
gonna?
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
You think so? You
100%.
think just from now on, like he's not gonna be like training Bilal Muhammad's and stuff
No,
like that?
fuck that. That's what he's not doing. Like he'll definitely 2 weeks out from the Perth card, like for sure. But in like in regards to going away for 3 months, being in Abu Dhabi, like doing all these crazy things, I think he's done traveling the world doing that stuff,
Yeah,
which is good. Like, you know, he probably wants to be a good dad. Like if I was a
I
father
respect it. You
and
know,
I had
he's made a
money
lot
and
of
I had done
money.
all these cool things, I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna just spend time with my family now.
Do they
He'll
know if he's
definitely be in Perth, 100%.
guys? Thank you all for watching. Hopefully we're at 1,000 subscribers when you're watching, but if not, even if we are, go hit that subscribe button. This is gonna be our year. I'm telling you guys. You heard it here first. MMA Dynasty taking over the MMA community this year.